My name's Lauren Arkley. I'm from the Department of Education and work in the Digital Learning Services Unit. And I'm really pleased today to be with the Microsoft 365 user group leaders who are going to take us through some of the ways they're using Microsoft tools with their students at their school. So I'm joined by Angus McPherson, is it Eilenberg? Is that right?
That's right.
Yes, and we will be joined by Jess also. As I said before, if you've got any questions, feel free to unmute and ask as we go along, or just to pop them into the chat. And we're also here today with Troy Waller, who's from Microsoft. So if you've got any questions for him, feel free to put them in the chat, and I hope that's okay, Troy. Angus, can I pass over to you to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. So my presentation should be just loading at the moment. Look, I'm just going to present very quickly on how to be using digital inking in a presentation. Now, in a remote learning context, this would be you're sitting at your house and you're perhaps trying to give a presentation, but instead of just being a dry PowerPoint that you're just flicking through with lots of information on the screen, instead your presentation is much more alive and dynamic. And as you are talking, you're then annotating, and it's just much more like being with a whiteboard. Now, as it turns out, I'm at school today and I left my tablet at home. So I'm actually not going to be inking during this presentation because I don't have a touchscreen. I use a regular device when I plug in a tablet to it. But irrespective, I'm still going to sort of go through how you do it. It's something that a lot of teachers at my school have been doing only recently since we went into lockdown, and the general feedback of the staff that have been doing digital inking is that it's one of the skills that they will definitely be taking forward with them, continuing when they're back doing regular face-to-face teaching. They might use it as part of doing a presentation still, like live in front of people in a class. They might be inking as part of the presentation as they go, or they might just be using it for correcting work that maybe some students have submitted and then they want to be able to correct it and really provide some accurate feedback on it. So that's what I'm going to go through really quickly. So digital inking, look, it's essentially just drawing, but it's drawing on a computer. And it raises the question, well, if this is just drawing using pen and paper, what is pen and paper? I mean, the simple answer to that is maybe you should use pen and paper, depending on what you're trying to do. But we all know that, pen and paper doesn't allow for collaboration between people, doesn't allow me to easily draw something and then send it over to Lauren where Lauren is. I mean, if I did it on pen and paper, I'd have to draw it, then take a photo and then send it to her. And you don't get that nice ability to, if you did that, then if Lauren wanted to adjust my picture, she wouldn't be able to erase my lines and things. It'd just be really clumsy. It can be done, but it's not smooth. And the moment something's not smooth, you don't do it. So this is about bringing those traditional skills, such as just writing on a whiteboard, drawing a diagram, and bringing that onto a digital context. And it does get used definitely for words. But this is not really the context of I'm going to start writing a 2,000-word essay by hand. It's more that I'm going to try and have a presentation. I might have some key points and some sentences and highlight some words and draw diagrams and annotate things rather than it being the key source of the document creation and such as that. If you and in that line, if you asked any fiction story writer of Harry Potter, they never started by just writing or typing the whole story out. They would have had some really unorganized, messy mash of planning, and that messy that messy connection of ideas connecting to each other. They're not ordered, they're not organized, and that's more in touch with how our brains work, and that's how students are going to be learning things as well. So we need to be mindful that we don't necessarily learn in a purely organized fashion. Or learning is organic, and we need to be able to represent that organicness in a digital way, which is hard to do if you're just doing it with just a keyboard. And so I've just got some screenshots here of what my board notes have been like for the last few months. You can see I'm a maths teacher, and I've copied and pasted some images of some maths questions, and then we've annotated them and we've created them. And when I'm in my classes, I would do that live as we go through, and it just saves me so much time. I just wouldn't be able to do it by using a keyboard. You also see I'm a science teacher. Got some pictures. I've highlighted some stuff around a picture I had there, and you see at the bottom left corner, I started drawing a really pretty picture about a sun and some a plant doing some photosynthesis. Now the next slide, and you can actually like skip through this forward and back as you like. This is actually a slide by a colleague of mine. Her name is Abby Hansen. She is an art teacher, and as you can see in art, like artwork, you look at a drawing, you acknowledge like what are the different shapes and what's important in that. And as you can see, her slide, so that bottom little screenshot there, that's a screenshot of her doing an artwork analysis with her students, and there's just no way that could be done without the use of pen and paper, and in the digital context, without the use of some kind of stylus-enabled device or a stylus. So, and the nice thing there is that that work that Abby Hansen's done in analysing that art piece, she's got a record of that forever. So it's not a matter of when she leaves the classroom, wipes off that whiteboard, all her analysis is gone. It's that they're saved in that PowerPoint presentation, and which means she could reuse it, share it to a student who maybe missed that class and that kind of stuff. So, and not that you can see this in this presentation, but that eagle, which is in the centre, that actually formed a key part of her teaching for about 4 weeks, and a feature of PowerPoint that connected into the digital inking is that you can actually replay the process of the drawing that occurred, and if she was here, she'd actually be able to do a little replay, and you'd actually see how she drew that whole bird, which was quite interesting because the process itself takes several minutes, and she can replay that over and over again, and students can watch it in their own time. So there's a lot of great benefits to doing this. Now, as I said, this is going to be quick, and it's really about how to. This is a collection of programs that you can digital ink with. Digital inking, as you can see, the vast majority of those programs there, they are just standard Microsoft programs. Built into Windows, built into Office, like two very powerful programs, but two things that all people in almost all professional careers actually have access to. Now, of those, I personally use it quite a lot in Whiteboard, but some of my staff really enjoy using it in PowerPoint. And then for the Word, I have staff that use it in Word. They particularly use it to correct students' work. So a student will submit them an essay, and then they'll actually go in and highlight and annotate the bits that they want to give feedback to. And they've very clearly said, if the work was printed, if the work was handwritten in class and the kid came up and showed them the work, that's how they want to correct it. And the same when if you do as a digital typed essay, which makes a lot more sense for a longer piece of work, that's the same way they still want to give their feedback. It's the way the teacher wants to give it, it's the way the student wants to receive it. So we should be trying to work towards what the process that we know works well, and that's what they do. And OneNote can be used as a whiteboard. That's popular amongst some staff. You can see I've got photos there. Photos I listed there, which and in brackets on videos, because there's a very neat thing you can do where you can annotate videos, which is really cool. And yeah, obviously, then the bottom I've got EpicPen. EpicPen's not a Microsoft product, but it's a screen marking product. It's free. You can download it. And it allows you to mark anywhere on your screen. It's like having a glass whiteboard over your screen, which for me, because I teach IT and I'm always teaching kids about particular buttons to click, it's really useful. I use that a lot when I was teaching Photoshop. So this presentation, you can look at in your own time. I show a little video on how you can add the drawing ribbon to your to your Office suite, because if you're like me, the department computer doesn't automatically appear because we don't have touch devices. In its essence, there's 3 steps. You right click on the ribbon, you choose customize ribbon, and then the 3rd step is you turn on draw. That's it. I've got those 3 steps in a video, which you can help you about that. Once you've done that, you'll see you've got pens, you've got erasers. Honestly, most people can work out what happens there. You draw with a pen, you erase with an eraser. It's not much. There's not much more to it. There's some like replay features. Now, I get this question a lot. How on earth do I draw? Look, I can't draw with my touch-enabled device. I would love one. DET, if you're out there, the magical DET office, I'm here, I'm waiting, I'm home for that device. Otherwise, look, I just use a little tablet, really easy to add on, $80 from Officeworks. Yeah, they can go up to $200 depending on what brand and what size and that kind of stuff. But that, and you're very quickly up and running. Of course, though, in my case, because I don't have one, and you forget to bring it, well, then you're a little bit stuffed. And that brings me to the end. I've got some links there to some research. And one of them I highly recommend is a 50-minute presentation by Travis Smith from Microsoft, just explaining in a lot of detail why we should be inking. Yeah, so, and look, I've done a little summary of the key points there, but probably don't need to do it. I know that was really rapid. That's what I was aiming to do, and I didn't demonstrate it because I didn't have a pen, but any questions, shoot them out, and I'll answer them.
Thanks, Angus. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to unmute or to pop them into the chat. Nope. Okay.
Cool.
No worries. Thanks, Angus. That was really interesting. I really like that example of the art activity using inking. I think that would be really great to be able to watch that back and to show that to your students to, show the development. So yeah, that was a really great example, and thanks for providing those links as well. I think they'll be really handy for people to go into if they look at your presentation following this webinar. Ben, can I pass over to you now?
Yeah, tough to follow that, Angus. Share the screen. Might be good if I'm at the start. Okay, pretty much I'm looking at Teams, how it's actually useful. We have, especially 3-4, we've been trying to use Teams all year, which has been fantastic. Sorry, just getting everything up. So there's quite a lot in Teams that we can use that we don't utilise enough of. Going through, we have quite a few teams that wasn't set up the best way to start with. But looking at that, we had, hopefully you can see the screen. Like we had an overall, because we work in a learning centre, so setting the scene is we have 5 classes, 3 4s. Looking at, we all work in relatively the same area and we plan together. So we created a team which is really good for all the planning documents. Everyone has access to it. It also saved us from having to try and get into school to get the documents. They were there for everybody to see. And that's been really good, including all the specialists who teach our kids. So it's one spot for everything. We then went, okay, especially remote learning that threw everything into chaos. We went to having a whole learning centre, so about 130 students in one team, especially running assemblies was really good, and giving a spot where the kids can actually break out and have chats on their own. And that way we can still, as teachers, kind of monitor what's going on without them creating 25,000 different chat rooms of their own. Then we broke it down further. We had our classes, and in the classes, I think I'll put it up there, we had all the specialists. So if you look at that one, you can see there's dance, light, and then we had mass investigation, music. So even the specialists all had one place to go. The kids knew where to go. And we're still using this, so we're still, if we have work, still uploading it, which is really good for those kids who are sick or can't make it in. They can actually still see what's going on with everything. Going back to there for a moment. And then again, we broke it down even further for workshops and groupings and everything like that. And only the kids in those certain groups are there, so they all know where to go, what to do, who the teacher is. They're not getting confused by having to go, oh, we're going into this bit and trying to find links. And we found that really helpful as well, because they know, bang, at this time I have to be in this group. The other fantastic part in Teams is your ribbon up the top is the most helpful tool that you can actually find. Your post is normal, that's where you put all your general information. Your files, we created one for each student. That way we can keep all their work in one spot, can check what's going on. Class notebook is OneNote that's actually embedded within Teams. So if you're going to create a OneNote, which is really good again for kids working together, you want to make sure you create it in Teams and not create it in OneNote and try and bring it across. Again, assignments, grades, I'll go through that in a moment. With assignments, they can actually take photos and submit them. A lot of kids have said to me, even though we're back, we'd rather submit them online because then they don't forget their work. So we can actually go in, we set the assignment, the students uploaded a picture of what they did. There's also grammar. So we can actually open that up and, as Angus pointed out, can scribble all over it and write comments for the kids, which is really, really helpful. Again, waiting for DET to catch up with giving us touchscreen computers. One of the other things that you have, going across the top, we have insights that most people wouldn't put in. You can actually add it. Reason we put insights in, it actually tells us what students are engaged, whether they've got online, how long they've been online, and whether there's lots of communication or no one's talking to each other. So inactive students, and this week I've had one student who hasn't got on to look at anything. And that could be because we're back, or when we're in remote learning, you'd look and go, oh, she came on, started the lesson and then dropped off. So you can follow that up. And unfortunately, this says there's 75 missed submissions. So when we've set an assignment, we can actually tell whether they've handed it in or not without having to go through each student. And you can put grades in that. As primary school, we generally don't grade it. We just give the feedback. Secondary schools would be great. You put your grade in there, bang, you've got it all. And that's where you go to grades. You can actually then break it down even further and go, oh, they had mass investigation. We set it on the 12th of October. These students have handed it in. They viewed it, but they didn't hand it in. So, oh, hold on. We can chase them and go, what's going on? Blank ones didn't even get into it. So again, it gives you an overview of what's going on. Lovely thing is you can export it to Excel and have that whole document in front of you. It means you can play with it, you can color code it, whatever you'd like to do. And getting to report time, or if you're giving feedback, fantastic tool there. This was one that I know came up on the chat a while ago, was under the planners. I've attached a planner term 3, so it was last term, to my class. And it's great, you have your to-do list, but also I created one that's called Children's Choice Term 3. I think I've gone further. What you can actually do is add your task, enter the students' names, set your due date and go, okay, I want it due on this day, and then assign it to, I set it for 3 students. So this one was Children's Choice, they had to present. On the day, say it was Monday, and then I assigned it to students that I wanted to present. They got notifications. So I knew, hey, you can't just say, oh, I didn't know about it. And you can do as many as you want, and there's 3 completed, so I'd set 3. still using grades, you can then turn it into a chart. You can play around with it. So children's choice, they're the past assignments that's showing up. They can say, oh, there's 3, there's nothing left, or if you have not started. So you can actually set it up really well. And the kids have no excuse not to know about it. Overall, I mean, there's so much more that it can do that I could have made 500 slides. It's getting better all the time. One good thing that's just been implemented is during a meeting, you can actually mute all the students and not let them unmute themselves. Really helpful when you have that one student who just wants to keep unmuting themselves and calling out the whole time. So, and there's more coming along that way. And that's pretty much it with Teams. We found it good from the fact of now we can monitor who's been online. You can look at how long they've been on, which gives us the feedback of, hey, these students aren't engaged, so we can then start engaging them. Slow process, but you can add third-party apps to it. But overall, it does everything that we used to have. Microsoft has improved dramatically, but you'd have to have 20 different things open to run everything. Now it's all integrated into your one lovely team.
Thanks, Ben. I don't know if anyone's got any questions. I might ask a question, Ben. Now that you've returned to school, do you see your classes continuing with using Microsoft Teams back in the classroom? Because I know you've mentioned quite a few times that you're using it during remote learning.
Yeah, we are still I'm still using it, and we're encouraging the others. As I said, homework will go up on there rather than handing it to the kids or saying, here, some will still give paper, but mainly it will go up on Teams so we can actually track and see what's going on. If we have a link the kids want to get onto, we're going to do that as well. And our lessons, as I mentioned, we're still putting up, as long as it's like a PowerPoint or something that we don't have to go through completely and rewrite, we're actually putting that up under our classes as well. Still having notices go up, important information. So we're still using it, but probably the only thing that's dropped away is the meetings online. Instead, now it's face-to-face.
Yeah. Thanks, Ben. Does anyone else have any questions? I can see Nicola's just put in that she works at the same school as you, and it's easy to put links for the web for games and information as well as go on Teams.
Yeah, and it's really good if you have a lot of passwords and stuff rather than cutting them out. I've actually been using the chat window, sending it to the kids and going, okay, now you can't really lose it. It's stuck on Teams. You just have to go up and find it again. Especially when you try and give them 20 different passwords for everything. It's really good. They have it all there. They go, oh, yeah, I know what's going on.
Yep. All right, thank you, Ben. I'll pass over to Jess now.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Jess.
How are you?
Good, welcome.
Ben, I agree with everything that Ben said in terms of the ribbon at the top is so good, because part of my job for is inducting new students and staff as well, and being able to just give them the link to the class notebook saves so much time than the old way of having to email them and then taking the kid through email Outlook to download it and get all that. So much easier. We're exactly the same as Ben. We've stopped using Teams. Well, we're still using Teams a lot. We're just not doing the online meetings. We're using it as communication tool so that we don't get as many emails as much, because that was driving us all crazy. So no DLs. Everything goes on Teams now, which is good. My part is looking at curriculum design and OneNote. It's going to be, need to tell you that we are a brand new school, and we have had time to work on this because it's going to look very detailed and quite, yeah, it's just going to be, just remember we're new and we've been able to start from scratch. So we've taken everything everything. We've got amazing teachers, taken all their feedback and been able to make a really, really good curriculum structure. If you were a new teacher coming into our school, you would come in with a complete, full documented Year 7, Year 8 curriculum. You can see here, this is the science curriculum notebook. All our notebooks look exactly the same. So if you were to go into a maths notebook or a science notebook, all the templates, all the structure is exactly the same. That was one big thing that teachers said they wanted. If you teach across multiple areas, as most secondary teachers do, then you want to be able to know exactly where to find the material. It doesn't matter what subject you're in. So we have these section groups on the side that have all the major topic, the year levels in it, so Year 7. And then you can see here we have our overview, and then we have all our topics in there. This is our documentation. So you can see we're big on naming conventions. I would strongly recommend naming conventions and setting up templates if you're going to be documenting curriculum on OneNote. We always start off with a unit overview, and you are able to move through the curriculum. When it's green, this is what we're saying is the minimum. This is what our benchmark is for our students to get to. And then underneath this is all our lessons and all the links, which are OneNote documents, or they are documents that are saved on the team file system. They're all linked to in here. It's once again incredibly detailed and really it's just, when I look at it each time, I have to keep assuring people that this is like you're looking at, I think, really, really good documentation. We make sure that every lesson is checked before it's taught, and then it's modified. And one of those things is, one of the reasons for that is it's particularly annoying if you distribute a page in OneNote to a class and you find an error in it, and then you have to go back through it and try and find where how you can fix the mistake. So, and delete the page. It's incredibly frustrating. So you can do it for one page, but as it goes on, it gets really complicated. You have our lessons where you every student would get this lesson at our school. So for intro to biology, intro to biology, this is the lesson that they would get. And you can see it's all on templates. And this template is exactly the same as our lesson model. So the two things are combined. We have our learning intention and etc. I'm not going to read it out to you, but you're able to see that it's very much template. We use icons, which kids have given us a lot of good feedback on. They really like that. They know what is expected, especially for the visual students. They look for those visual cues. They're able to look through it and see exactly what the activity is going to be about. And then we have all our documents linked to it and activities. Students could either complete it in the OneNote once we distributed the lesson, or they could just do it in their notebook and take a photo of it and upload it. We write lessons. The only other thing that I would add is we have teacher lessons. So we have this lesson, and up here, this is the teacher lesson when it says remote 4, because the text in red up here is the teacher notes. So that just means if you've taught a really good lesson and you think, you need to do this, or maybe this is a really good question to get information out of here, it's just a really good way of doing it. And then the students would get obviously the lesson without the teacher notes on it. So that would be the lesson that would be distributed. So this is what our curriculum is documented as. This is OneNote being used, I think, to quite a sophisticated level. It's all collaborated. All our teachers share everything. There's only one lesson for everything. And yeah, that's just, I'll finish and say the only thing I could say is the use of templates are your friend. Showing examples or high examples of work being done to a really high standard so that teachers know what's expected is incredibly supportive and helpful for your staff. And also making sure you've got naming conventions right, because it can get very, very messy very easily, and to use links where possible. But that's me, short and sweet.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks for that, and thanks for sharing that with us. It was really interesting. I can see Angus has commented, said incredible, and Ben's also wrote fantastic. Does anyone have any questions for Jess? I can see Nicola's put, thanks, Jess, that was amazing.
Not me, it's the teachers. Just the lucky one that gets to work with them.
All right.
Great.
So, Angus,
I'll just jump in with one quick question. So I probably should have raised my hand. Have your lessons changed much due to going online for remote learning? Because just looking at it, they look really well organised. So maybe it might not have changed.
Hasn't changed. It's the same. Our kids met the same standard. We ran our lessons exactly the same. There was no difference. Maybe things were modified a little to make it easier. Like we found it was taking students a lot longer to be able to read the materials, so we had to give them more time for that. But otherwise, it's exactly the same standard. It's and our kids, our year 7s were amazing at maintaining it. Our year 8s needed a bit more support, so we had to give them support days and things. But otherwise, yeah, exactly the same.
Cool.
Right. So was just a question. Did you guys, with those ones that took longer or struggled to read it, look at immersive reader?
Yeah, we did. We do a lot of PL on that before for all our kids. Like we run our 2-day transition, our first day of high school for year 7s. We introduce them to all those tools. We don't go to normal classes. We set up their OneNotes, show them we do a lot of work on the lesson model and the plan, like the template, because it's really important for students to understand why they've got why it's set out like that. Like it's just not teacher jargon. There's actually a point to what we're doing and a point to why it's set out like that, and we need them to understand why it's there. So we do a lot of work on the tools like Immersive Reader. We go through the lesson model, and we go through like downloading their notebooks, uploading work, using Office Lens, that kind of thing.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jess.
Yeah.
We'll probably round it off just now because it's just after 4:30. But thanks to Jess, Ben, and Angus for presenting today. I think they were all really interesting, very different things happening, but also useful and lots to learn from all of the examples provided. Jess, Ben, and Angus are some of our leaders from our Microsoft 365 user group community, which is a Microsoft team that anyone from the department is welcome to join and ask questions within different channels. So please feel free to add yourself into the team. I'll put a link in the chat. The link is just aka.ms/DET-M365. So if you enter that link and request to join, one of us will enter you into the team. But thanks everyone for coming, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.